All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into another episode of the Rust Belt Rivalry Podcast. I'm Brian Philos. My co host, as you can see, is not here. He has left me for work, and I am flying the ship solo today. We're going to see how it goes for the first time ever. As usual, I've got a packed show for you here. We're going to talk a lot of Browns, a little bit of Bengals, a little bit of Buckeyes, a lot of NFL, and a little bit of college football action sprinkled in. So let's cut right to it. Obviously, as you all know, if you're listening to the show, I am not a huge Bengals fan. However, I did watch some of the Bengals game, and I did watch the highlights. I talked to my buddy Nick, and they obviously lost to the Packers 27-18 for those Bengals fans out there. Flacco did keep the game entertaining, is what my co-host said. He did go 29 for 45, 219 yards, which is the most he's had since week one when he played the poorest Bengals defense with the Browns. And he also had 2 touchdowns. So it wasn't a terrible performance by any means. Zach Taylor, according to my co-host, had a horrible play calling set for the first half. I kind of disagree just a little bit there. I'm not sure that there was a whole lot that he could have done differently. Joe Flacco was only in the building for a couple days. Now, this is not something Joe Flacco is unfamiliar with. He did drop straight from the couch to the Cleveland Browns roster a couple of years ago in 2023 when he led us to that magical playoff run. And, he played pretty well, I'd say. The biggest obvious difference that I saw was he had wide receivers that were able to get open. Go figure. In the NFL, if you have wide receivers that can create space, that have speed, that can get open, even Joe Flacco at 40 years old can get them the ball. Obviously, the offensive line, not good. We already knew that. And, even against the Packers defense, which at the beginning of the year we thought was pretty darn good, right? We thought they were pretty good, but they're obviously not as good. We've seen that week after week now, and even the Bengals couldn't put up 3 touchdowns against them. As I mentioned, Flacco, slow, old. He just cannot move the pocket. Unfortunately, the same thing we saw in Cleveland. He just can't move that well, right? So behind the bad offensive line, it's just hard. It's hard to watch. It's hard to get excited. Like I said, the biggest difference I saw was Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Iavosis. I'm sure I screwed that name up, but their wide receiving group could create separation, which the Browns cannot. And there you go. That's your basic Bengals recap. And obviously, I'm a lot closer to the Browns. As a Browns fan, I watched that game a lot more closely, but that game was not close at all. It was a blowout, and the Browns lost 23-9 to a rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. It was just an ugly game all around. 9 points. They only put up 3 field goals. It's just so sad. Dillon Gabriel. Let's start there. As frustrated as I want to be with him, he dropped back 58 times. If you look at the stat sheet, it'll say like 52, but he got sacked 6 times. It's just not a good look, man. It's not good. It's really frustrating, actually, as a Browns fan, to watch a kid in his second game have to drop back 58 times. And honestly, I just blame Kevin Stefanski for that, but I'll get into that here in a little bit. The biggest thing that I'm bothered by with Dillon Gabriel, right? And again, he's got trash cans for tackles. He's got wide receivers that cannot create separation. I cannot emphasize that enough. But he also, everything we kept hearing about him this whole offseason, every time Barry would talk about him, he's a supercomputer. He's so smart. He processes things so quickly. He learns once and never makes the same mistake again. I did not see that this week. If you look at the stat line, he didn't turn the ball over. But if you look at the film if you watch the game closely, there were 5 different times that I counted. It could be more, could be more, that he hit a Steelers defender in the hands 5 different times where they could have easily had an interception and they dropped the ball. So the supercomputer thing, I'm not buying it. I don't like what I'm seeing already. Although, again, what do we expect, right? It's like our wide receivers are 32nd in separation and 31st in the league in speed. Like, it's just so sad. The left tackle, the right tackle just continue to get injured. Obviously, DeJuan Jones is not there. Jack Conklin, another game where he can't even make it through the game. Now, these are injuries. I don't want to be mad at a player for that. Obviously, it's not all his fault or anything, but it's still frustrating that the narrative with Jack Conklin continues to be that over the time the Browns have paid him, he has continually not been on the field. I think he's missed, last time I looked, there was like 58% of the games that he could have played. That's just not, it's not great, guys. It's not great. And Jerry Jeudy, I hate even mentioning his name. The first drive, he drops a pass. He gets a unnecessary roughness penalty. The Steelers baited him. It's just so frustrating to watch him even be out there. He shouldn't be a 1. I don't even know that he's worth a 2. Maybe he's just frustrated like the rest of us. I don't know, but you got to put your best effort out there. Special teams, even a huge blunder. Third quarter, first drive that the Steelers have the ball, the Browns defense forces a 3-and-out. Like, you can't ask for better than that. And we go to block the punt and instead run into the punter, which gives the Steelers a first down, ultimately giving them a touchdown. I was so frustrated. That was when I really tried to turn the game off. I still couldn't turn it off. We were driving back from Columbus. I was so angry. I'm like, we can barely operate generic plays. We can barely catch, like, I'm nervous that we're even going to catch the ball on a punt. And here we are trying to block punts. Like, cut out the like, we're not there. Like, these people on our special teams are backups, right? Our starters aren't even that good for the most part. So, like, obviously the special teams players are not either. So don't be trying cute stuff like that. Like, just get the ball back and say, thank you for giving me the ball. We'll try to not get a 3-and-out this time, right? And Myles Garrett was verbally frustrated. I don't completely blame him, but Myles, you took the money, man. You knew what you signed up for. Come on, dude. Like, you knew the plan better than the rest of us. Like, I was an idiot. I had optimism. I had hope. You knew what you were watching in those practices. That wasn't any good. So, and as badly as I want to see Shedeur Sanders, right? I want to see Shedeur so bad. I think he's better than Dylan. I thought he was better than Dylan before the draft. Like, I don't want to see him go out there. I don't want to see these guys get injured. Like, he would have to be an absolute magician to be able to turn whatever this offensive pile of just rubbish is into something special. I'd be excited if he did, but I'm also scared that he'd get injured. Next thing I want to focus on is Kevin Stefanski. I have been a Kevin Stefanski supporter for years, but I can't support the man anymore. Even though he's been given like trash these last 2 years to work with on the offensive side of the ball, I can't give him a pass. I'm watching the same stuff happen. I feel like I'm watching the same playbook from 2020. There's very little creativity. There's very little, like, just nothing special. You know, these coaches like Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, you see wrinkles and different things they run every week, no matter who the wide receivers are. And I don't see it from Kevin, and it's frustrating. The other big thing that completely irritates me is, and they alluded to it on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I think it was G. Bush that mentioned this. It's like watching a play with different characters, and it's the same exact play, right? You're watching the Browns get down to the red zone. It's 1st and goal on the 3-yard line. Our wide receivers are trash. They're terrible. 32nd in the league. What do? Quinshon Judkins, your best player on offense by far. You take him out of the game. Instead of running up the gut 4 times to make sure you score a touchdown, you throw passes and you end up with a field goal. Like, this is just that's not good coaching. I mean, that's just not, it's not acceptable to me. This whole team is an indictment on Andrew Berry. Think about this, Browns fans. When Andrew Berry took over this team in 2020, this was the core of the team that we had and their ages, okay? Denzel Ward, 23 years old. Myles Garrett, 24 years old. Baker Mayfield, 25 years old. Nick Chubb, 24 years old. Wyatt Teller, 26 years old. Joel Bitonio, 29 years old. A little bit older, but still, 6 years later, I feel like this team is worse than we were when we were 1-31. I mean, we're 4-19 in the last 2 years, and it's just depressing to watch. Like, there's more talent on this team, and we're playing worse most games. I don't understand. And all these people that want to just say, oh, Andrew Berry, he had one good draft, like he finally figured it out. They want to give him a pass, and I can't accept that, man. You sucked for 4 years. You had horrible drafts. You had first-round picks. Then you didn't do well in Jedrick Wills, and you just traded away Greg Newsome, who obviously wasn't that good. And then, the 3 draft picks or the 6 draft picks we gave up for Watson, people want to give him a pass for that because Jimmy Haslam said that it's all on him. It's not on him. Come on, get out of here. But even with this draft being a good draft so far for Andrew Berry, he better get lucky and hit on one of these quarterbacks, which unfortunately it's very early and I don't want to judge this quickly, but I think Dylan Gabriel's proved what we all knew prior to the draft. He's not that good. Even if Shedeur, you better hope that Shedeur ends up being a franchise quarterback, because I'll tell you what, Jackson Dart, Andrew Berry obviously did not have a first-round grade on that man, and he did not pick him with the 5th overall pick, but the New York Giants did. And if what I've seen from Jackson Dart so far tells me that he can easily be a top 15 quarterback in this league, maybe a top 10. I mean, if that ends up being the case, no matter how good those players play on the Browns that you drafted this year, that is an epic failure. You need a quarterback at the most important position. You could have easily drafted Jackson Dart, and you chose a defensive tackle and to not trade up like the Giants did. If that's the case, it's mind-blowing how awful you are at evaluating quarterbacks. I need to digress. I need to move on. The Browns are just so frustrating right now. A lot of infighting with fans. It's just been stressful. Okay. Injuries, another sad part of the week to go over. Fred Warner, serious ankle injury, was carted off the field. They have ruled him out for the season. That is a huge hit to the Niners defense, and that is unfortunate for him. Puka Nacua with the Rams, going to miss probably some time with an ankle injury, but nothing serious. Emeka Egbuka, again, going to miss some time with the Buccaneers, a hamstring. And then Antonio Gibson, one of the backup running backs for the Patriots. He unfortunately tore an ACL. He will be out for the season. He was a decent contributor. Nothing huge that he was doing. But as an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, I hope that Travion Henderson has learned whatever he needed to under Mike Vrabel and can now get some more targets with that opening. But back to the biggest concern I have is Emeka Egbuka. You've already got no Mike Evans. You've already missing Chris Godwin. To be out all 3 top wide receivers, it's a concern. But Baker Mayfield right now is playing with his hair on fire, and I don't think it matters, honestly. Like, I think you could throw practice squad guys out there as long as they're in the right spot at the right time. Baker's going to hit them. So it might not even matter, right? He put a hurting on the 49ers, even without his number one running back. And again, the injury to his wide receivers. So a lot of people nationally are saying he's playing at a true MVP level, and I don't disagree. As much as it hurts my heart to watch that, man, it good for Baker, right? And other than that, around the league, let's talk a little bit about the other games. The Colts continue to prove that they are the truth, right? They are not fakers. They are real contenders. They beat the Cardinals in a close game. I just love what Indiana Jones, Danny Dimes, whatever you want to call him, has reemerged after getting out of New York. Another quarterback that was in a different team in New York, Sam Darnold, continues to prove that he is more of a player that he was in Minnesota than he was with the Jets. Almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns on only 27 attempts against a Jaguars team that a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say I wasn't too high on them, but a lot of people are crowning as one of the best. And thank you, Greg Newsome. I know a lot of the Jags fans are going to hope that he just got a blown coverage because of the short time with practice there, but I don't think he's going to be much better than what you see there. Falcons surprised the hell out of me beating the Bills last night. This recorded on Tuesday, so it would have been Monday night the 13th. I think that was all on the backs of Bijan Robinson, and I just don't see that being very sustainable. And I think both teams are going to regress to the mean next week again. The Bears, despite what my man Nick Kremchek will tell you, he is not a believer. I am a believer, a firm believer now in the Bears. I think that Caleb Williams needed Ben Johnson. I think they are the perfect pairing together. And I mean, they have won 2 tough games in a row. Last year, the Bears don't win those games, right? They get behind and they make some kind of error, some kind of silly play, some kind of mistake, and they Browns out, right? They have not been doing that this year. They have beaten 2 games in a row. They've come from behind and beat the Commanders and the Raiders, which are, nothing to scoff at, right? Especially with Jaden Daniels led Commanders team. So good on you, Bears. I'm rooting for you. I love the Bears, city of Chicago. The Chiefs, holy cow. Mahomes said enough is enough. Put up 4 total touchdowns against a Lions team who had been playing pretty well to this point, aside from their week 1 skid. And let's talk about the Chiefs defense. Me and my co-host both were like, man, it is just sad to watch. They do not look the same. They held the Lions to 17 points, which the Lions were rolling, folks. They were putting up points with ease. And I'm a little surprised, but it was awesome to watch. I'm sure Nick would be sad. He's got some affinity that he hates the Chiefs. But other than that, man, those were the big highlights for me for the games. As far as our other news around the league, Brian Callahan, as my co-host predicted, was fired on Monday, October 13th after a 1-5 start. Mike McCoy, a former Chargers head coach, takes over head coaching responsibilities in the meantime. I think it's a horrible idea to ever fire a coach mid-season, but these GMs and owners, they get to do whatever they want, right? It's their show. But Mike McCoy, formerly of the Chargers, led them, I believe, to a wild card his first year, had a horrible record the following 2 years, so not expecting a whole lot out of them. Apparently, they were very unhappy with the growth of Cam Ward. Again, it's only been a couple weeks. I don't know. The team around him really isn't that good either, but I guess they expected more, right? The other thing that I find pretty funny is the fact that all the Kevin Stefanski hate while he's been going through this quarterback carousel of just bad quarterback play one after another. Folks, look no further than in the division that it is very hard to win in this league without a quarterback, right? Especially not without a franchise quarterback. Look at John Harbaugh, a magician to most Browns fans, right? He is currently sitting 0-3 with no Lamar. Zach Taylor No Joe Burrow. Guess what? 0-4. So let's not pretend like having a great quarterback doesn't make a hell of a difference when you're coaching in the NFL. It's my belief that without a good quarterback, it doesn't matter who the coach is, right? Like you're duct tape and bubble gum at that point. So you're just lucky to get what wins you do get. Moving on to college football, a little bit of Ohio State. Yeah, they crushed Illinois, right? 34-16. I thought it was going to be the most competitive game since Texas. I was wrong. Ohio State just dominated. The defense just forced turnover after turnover. And if you look at the stat sheet, like maybe we got outgained on yardage, I'm not sure, but the offense didn't put up a whole lot of yards, right? But they didn't have to. They were getting the ball on their own 20-yard line, own 25-yard line, what have you, and they were scoring at a high clip, right? Now, I had a little concern that they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal, maybe lost focus a little bit midway through the third quarter. But Ryan Day has this machine well oiled this year, and it seems like all the right buttons are clicking, and that defense is just lights out. So Jeremiah Smith, Bo Jackson both find the end zone. CJ Donaldson finds the end zone twice. I mean, the offense is really coming to form, right? So other big news in Buckeye country, the three-star recruit Landry Breedy, I'm sorry if I screwed that up, formerly committed to NC State, has flipped his commitment and now is coming to Ohio State, which it seems like a pretty big deal. Also, three-star safety Kamari Bing, formerly of Maryland Commute. He's a safety, and another big flip there for a commitment to Ohio State. Other games that I watched, the biggest game that I watched that I was just loving watching was the Indiana-Oregon game. I mean, Cignetti has created something there, and I absolutely love what I'm seeing from them. It was a great game to watch in general. Lanning and Oregon always bring it, and they were both undefeated. Mendoza, Roman Hembry with the running back from Indiana with the 2 touchdowns. Just like I said, the culture that Cignetti created there, holy cow, folks. I mean, that is serious. He came in his opening presser and goes, hey, I just win, right? We just get it done. That's what I focus on. And like threw it all out on the table. And that's what he's done, right? He's 6-0 with an Indiana team who nobody believed in at the beginning of the year, right? And now, after beating number 3 Oregon, are now ranked number 3 in the country. So they beat Oregon by double digits. It was just an awesome game to watch. It was close for the most part. And yeah, just a great game. If you want to go see the highlights, the wild games for me, watched a little bit of that Oklahoma game against Texas. My brother-in-law is an Oklahoma Sooners fan. Unfortunate for him, but man, that was just wild. I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting Oklahoma to lose, especially the way they did. Also, Michigan losing to USC. I shouldn't be surprised, but that was kind of shocking to me. Moving on to the spotlight ahead, right? Let's focus on the week coming up. The NFL matchups. Let's focus on the Bengals first, since they play on Thursday night. Pretty big game for the Bengals, I would say. Fans are calling it the Icy Hot Bowl because you've got Aaron Rodgers on one hand, who's 41 years old, and then you've got Joe Flacco on the Bengals, who is currently 40 years old. And as a guy who's almost 40 himself, I totally understand the Icy Hot Bowl there. It's a game that's being played in Cincinnati, but Pittsburgh is currently favored by 5.5. My co-host, Nick, bless his heart, he is saying that if the Bengals play mistake-free football, that they can compete in this game and possibly win. Sorry, Nick, if you're listening before Thursday's game, I could not disagree with you more, buddy. I just watched the Steelers decimate the Browns in every category. The defense was swarming. They were eating our offensive line. And they're going to do the exact same to the Bengals offensive line, who's just about as bad as the Browns. Aaron Rodgers through 6 weeks has the fastest time to throw and the lowest ADOT in the NFL, which means he's getting the ball out super fast and accurately. Myles Garrett couldn't even make an impact, and Myles Garrett is a superhuman, freak athlete, and if he can't get to the quarterback, there's no chance anybody on the Bengals does. So, sorry, Nick, but your Bengals patchwork defense ain't going to cut it. I think the Bengals lose by double digits. Browns, unfortunately, I also have no faith in the Browns this week. I think it's a huge week for Kevin Stefanski in his career. We all know Jimmy Haslam gets a little trigger happy sometimes, right? One week you're signing an extension, and next week you could be getting canned, right? I really hope that they don't fire Kevin Stefanski mid-season. I've alluded to this earlier. I do not support firing a coach mid-season. I don't see the point. But the seat is getting pretty hot for Kevin. I don't know why it's not getting hot for Andrew Berry. That's another story for another day, but you never know what Haslam's going to do here, right? So even though Kevin Stefanski has like nothing to work with on offense, which I talked about in the recap from last week, I just think that the Miami Dolphins and the head coach there are just going to be too creative on offense. I think they're too fast. I think they can change direction too quickly. They're going to use our defense's aggressiveness against ourselves. And I think the Dolphins are going to easily put up 21, 24, 28 points. And we all know the Browns can't do that, right? The Browns are lucky to get to like 17, 18 points in a game. I just don't have much confidence in Dylan Gabriel. I have no confidence in the wide receivers, aside from Isaiah Bond, who still is figuring it out his rookie year. I have no confidence in the offensive line, especially our tackles. So I think the Browns, unfortunately, also are going to lose by double digits to the Dolphins. And, I think people are going to be like, man, are the Dolphins playoff contenders? Like, no, let's pump the brakes. It's just the Browns. And the defense just can't be on the field the entire game and somehow sucking oxygen. You know what I mean? So as far as bold predictions and bets, let's talk about it. Bengals, I mentioned, I think they're going to lose by double digits. Here's my prediction. If the Bengals can somehow put up some points and keep the game somehow, some way close to 2 scores, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against this soft Bengals defense. And honestly, I really hope Joe Flacco makes it through this game. I'm a little nervous. That Steelers defensive front is just going to eat that offensive line. Now, flip it over to the Browns. Again, I think we lose by double digits. My prediction is Jalen Waddle and A-Chain put up 3 touchdowns total. Dylan Gabriel throws his first interception of the year, and it's just not pretty. I don't know what else to say other than that. So other than that, there are some great games that I am looking forward to in the NFL. There's a pretty cool slate. So you've got the Vikings and Eagles, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz. I don't think it matters. Kevin O'Connell is so creative. I'm excited to see that matchup, the Eagles defense and the Eagles offense versus the Vikings. The Giants and Broncos, I think I mentioned it earlier. I am a huge fan of Scattaboo. I'm a huge fan of Jackson Dart. I think they have brought an energy to that sideline, to that team, that I am just excited to see how it evolves, right? Jackson Dart's 3rd game or will be his 4th game in the league. How can he do against a great defense like the Broncos, right? I think it's going to be an exciting game. Bo Nix and Jackson Dart. Colts Chargers, another one. You've got Danny Dimes, a game that we would have scoffed at the beginning of the year. This week is going to be phenomenal. I want to see Danny Dimes against this Chargers defense. I'm excited to see Indiana Jones versus Justin Herbert, who's been slinging it all over the place. Hopefully Quentin Johnston comes back. That should be an exciting game. Also, the Bucs and the Lions play each other. A rematch from last year's playoffs. That's going to be a great game, right? Like I said earlier this year, Baker's playing at an MVP level. Goff and the Lions are most likely going to put up a ton of points. It could be a shootout. It should be very fun. And as you loyal listeners know, typically this is the time where Nick will give us a lock of the week, right, or two. And I am not as much high on the gambling as Nick is, so I am not in tune as much. So take these locks with a grain of salt. Don't put that much money, maybe $1 or $2 holla, as my other co-host Fatty would say. What I like this week is the Giants +7. I just talked about it. The Broncos, I think, could win, right? But I don't think they're going to win by more than a touchdown. I think the Giants, at the very least, keep it close. I'd like to see maybe the Broncos win by 3 or 1 or whatever, right? I think it's going to be a very close game. The other one I really like is the over +54.5 for the Cowboys Commanders. Cowboys are putting up an average of 30 points a game almost on this year. So that in itself should tell you all you need to know. Obviously, Dak and the offense have to throw a lot to be able to keep up with this horrible Cowboys defense. Jaden Daniels is coming back to his own. He just put up 24 points last week against the Bears, and I think he can easily top that. So I think that's going to go over no problem there. So those are my locks for the week for the NFL slate. Let's talk a little bit the college preview, right? Ohio State, not super exciting game. They're playing Wisconsin, currently favored by 25.5 points. I don't even think that's going to be the case. I think Ohio State blows them out by even more than that. My anticipation for this game is Wisconsin has one good drive, maybe the first or second drive of the game. Maybe they get a field goal, a touchdown. They look good. And then Matt Patricia and this crazy defense just shut them down the rest of the game. Man, this defense has just been crazy for the Ohio State. And Wisconsin hasn't been playing that good, right? So their defense in the last 4 games when they played real opponents have given up at least 24 points per game, and the offense just isn't. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball against this Ohio State defense. So not a great game to watch, but it'll be a fun one for us Ohio State Buckeyes fans. Other major games, there are some great games coming up this week in the college slate. So some games that I'm looking forward to watching: Ole Miss, ranked number 5, versus Georgia, who's ranked number 9. I will be rooting. For whatever reason, I don't like Georgia. They beat us a couple times in the playoffs. I do not like Georgia. I think they're a powerhouse that needs to be quieted a little bit. I will be rooting like hell for Ole Miss, but I expect Georgia to win. They always find ways to win games like this that mean a lot, and they'll probably win a tight game. USC, who just snuck into the top 20, they are number 20 after beating Michigan last week, is playing Notre Dame, number 13, who started off extremely rocky, losing 2 games to start the year, but figured it out and is now, getting better. I fully expect Notre Dame to take care of business. I think they're going to take care of USC, unfortunately for USC fans. And the last game that I've got my eye on is Tennessee, number 11, versus Alabama, number 6, currently ranked in the college ranks. I think Tennessee really sneaks out with a victory here. Bama has had 3 close games in a row where they have just squeaked by for 3 straight weeks. Tennessee, I was not a believer. You can go back to our old podcasts. My co-host, Nick, he tried to tell me Tennessee is legit this year, especially that offense, and I wasn't buying it. I'm a believer now, and I think that they can really put up some points, like even against an Alabama tough defense. So I think Tennessee sneaks a win here, and I'm really looking forward to that game. So, but yeah, no, that's all I've got for you on the college front. That'll wrap it up for this week's Rust Belt Rivalry podcast. Browns fans, Bengals fans, just stick in there, right? We've got a long season to go. Hopefully, a few victories along the way. Eventually, Browns fans, we can start rejoicing for our favorite time of the year, the offseason, in the hopes that we can find a new quarterback. Bengals fans, you can rest your laurels on knowing that Joe Burrow will probably be back next year. And, you can turn things around even with some higher picks. Buckeye Nation, obviously the complete opposite, baby. Pedal to the metal. Everybody nationally is talking about how we are the best of the best of the best this year. And I'm just enjoying the ride, baby. So a lot to look forward to from the Buckeye standpoint. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel, the Rust Belt Rivalry podcast channel. Like our videos. Make comments, please. Comment on the Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, please follow us there. Hit us up on social media. All this interaction, all that helps the algorithm, however it works internally with the systems. It gets our show out to more people, in front of more people that might be enjoying the same show that you do. So we appreciate it. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back next week to break it all